Thanks, everyone. We're going to move into our first question and answer. So you've heard a lot of things, and it'll give you guys a chance to be a part of this. We're going to have a few microphones circulating around. Ricardo Hayes and Paul Knobloch are going to take care of that. So if you have a question, please wait for the microphone to get to you, so therefore we can hear you on the video, and so the rest of the audience can hear you. You may have some questions about the project. I'll give you a little setup. I was going to do this beforehand, but kind of lost track of my notes. It was 6 years ago that I decided I wanted to do this project. And part of why I never got around to it was because being a bit of a perfectionist, I thought, wow, I had the fear that I wouldn't, I wouldn't do a good job with it. Well, what if I start this and I can't, it's not what it should be. So that was one of the fears that I had. I had the fear that, I'm going to put all this time into it. I don't have a lot of resources and money. What if I put all my time into this project and somebody else comes up with something like this before me, and then I'm irrelevant. My project's not going to mean as much. What is that? Who cares? The more out there on this subject matter, the better. And I think a little bit of it might have been fear of success. We get caught up in, this is what I know. So yeah, what if this happens, and what is my life going to be? It's just got to let it flow, and we'll see. And so that's just kind of crazy. So little things going on. I have to. It's kind of tough because I never pictured myself being in this talking about that. I thought I'm going to put all these experts. It'll get the feeling out. And a good friend of mine, Matt Romano, who was in there, he's the guy with the beard that was smiling at the camera, said, man, you got to tell your story. That's how, people can know. And I think we all have to tell our stories, because I think sharing that, other people may deep down think, okay, I'm dealing with this, and it's just me. And it's not. We all share similar things. So with Matt saying, hey, man, tell your story, I think if I can do some good with my experiences, I want to. It's hard because Matt was just a good friend, man. He's no longer here with us, but he's in my heart. So I'm glad to have his spirit on the screen. So some of what you're seeing there is him. So I thought I could talk about that, but it's one of those things that not easy. I thought I was good with it, but that's all right. This experience here, seeing this project with you all, it's a unique experience. Everything will be unique because what we all bring to it. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of your questions. And one interesting comment, and I want to thank my friend Megan Kennedy for this. We were talking a few weeks ago, and she had said, fear is interest on a debt that you don't even know. Or you don't even owe. I'm sorry, yeah, we know it. So with that, and I thought, hey, Megan, who said that? And we couldn't, we weren't sure. And then I'm looking through my notes that I did last April, and I find this quote, and it had the name of who it went to, and I still don't even know. For me, I'm relating that to a good friend who's been very supportive of this. And so with that, it's just like, okay, well, the only thing that matters to me is that moment that we shared. So with that, let's get you guys involved, and we'll go through some questions, and then we'll move on to our next topic after that. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to share? Paul, right there, Megan.
It's just a comment. I'm currently reading a book that's a little bit older called In Praise of Slowness. And what I see being one of the biggest hurdles or obstacles for getting this message across to people, general population, is we're a cult of speed. And the things that you all are talking about, that we believe in too, take time. And a lot of people are so caught up in everything else. If I can just take a pill, come on, I don't have time for that. Give me what's faster. I got to do this deal. I got to do that. So I see that as actually being the biggest obstacle in general as far as getting people converted to it. It's got to be fast enough. And I think that's going to be harder than even just getting people to believe that these things are possible. They may believe that it is possible, yeah, sure, but I don't have time for that, is what I see as being a big obstacle.
I will tell my clients or people that I talk to that ask me about these questions is that, you know, I'm completely okay if that's what you want to do, as long as you're informed and as long as you understand the alternatives. And for me, one of the main things that really drew me to this project is that we have to get the word out that drugs are not always the answer and that there are alternatives. And I completely agree. You know, coming to therapy with me, people have to spend an hour a week for a few weeks. Some people get what they need in 5 or 6 or 7 weeks, and they're grateful and they feel like they're doing much, much better. And other people might take 3 or 6 months, which is a lot more effort than taking a pill. But what I do is more effective, it lasts longer. I just want people to know that. I want people to know about the alternatives of exercise and understand that exercise can be as effective. If in the long run you say, you know what, I know that therapy is effective. I know that it doesn't have the side effects, but I'm really not willing to take the time. Personally, I'm okay with them making that choice, as long as it's an informed choice.
Great. Thanks, Jen. Phyllis?
You know, when you're talking about your clients, and I do spiritual counseling, and so often lately, people will come with a problem that they think they have. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'll say, you know, you may think you're going to hear something spiritual, but I think you need to laugh. And I think you need to do some detoxing. You know, and all those things you can do to detox the body and get some of the junk out of it that you've been storing up. And not only that, but do you realize that probably maybe 50 to 70% of what you think is your problem isn't even yours, because you're tapping into the collective unconscious and all the other things other people are saying and other people are doing, because you're watching all the stuff on television, you're hearing all this stuff. So I really think that one of the things I'll tell people is, you know, that we have organs of elimination. And another thing I'll say is go sweat. You know, ride your bike, get in a sauna. You know, your skin is the largest organ of elimination. Detoxify the body. You know, give yourself a chance physically, as well as then be mindful at the same time of what you're putting in the way of your thinking and your feeling and all of that. So I think that's important.
And if there's another question, we'll get queued up for that. Go ahead, Amy.
Just really quick about the slowdown. I lived in production mode, and I knew about all of these. I have been in the alternative therapy world for years. I do presentations on it. I knew about it, but just because I knew about it didn't mean I implemented it. But I thought it was good enough to just know about it until my body said, it's time. And it took me 9 months. It was literally a rebirth. The disease sometimes, again, this goes back to your perception. For me, it was the greatest gift my body could have given me, because it literally slammed me against the wall and said, slow down and stop. And to become aware of those patterns. And now I can feel the adrenaline. When I feel that push, it's like, whoa, step back. So, you know, people may not find this documentary this year, next year, the year, but it's going to be here for whenever they're ready.
Okay, we have a question.
Yeah, Ken, this is kind of a commentary too. Is something about beliefs I've noticed is that they can become invisible. And how I've noticed them in my life is what they're producing. And an example was I was hitting a wall with my business, and I tried everything. I was, you know, going to workshops and that were pertaining to my business, and it wasn't working. And then I just asked myself, well, what is causing this? And I think 2 weeks later, I'm driving down the highway, and I get a flash, and it's like, oh, I bought that crap. That's what it was. And it was instantaneous. I could let it go, and all of a sudden, things started to change. And I think with that, sometimes with these beliefs, they may be core. There's a string of little ones that are with it too, and they disappear once you get to that, to the main one.
Great, thanks for sharing, Michael. Any other questions? Up here, Paul.
thought you were going back there. Ken, you said something that was a really wonderful, gentle reminder for me. Like Amy, I've had breast cancer twice. And when I went through my chemo the first 2 times, my visualization was that this drug, which is poison, as you say, was undoing everything that created the cancer in the first place. And those visualizations of it working for me and being there and supporting me made all the difference in my experience of it. And I've recently been diagnosed with metastasized cancer, and I'm on oral chemo now, and I'd kind of forgotten that. So I get this gentle reminder from you today to remember to put it in perspective, and that it is something that's supporting me as I change my mindset and as I change my belief systems and all those things that came together to create it. But in the moment, with what I'm going through now, for me to have that mindset that this is the gift that's helping was very valuable to me today. Thank you.
Probably have time for a few more, then we'll move on to our next topic. Right here, back here, Jack. And this side. All right, Paul's making his way around. This guy cycles like 3,000 miles a year, and he's, come on, Paul, move it. Show us some of that cycling ability. Paul's been very supportive of this project, and I can't thank him enough. And he has supplied some of our refreshment as well, some biscotti and truffles. Jack.
Ken, I have a different question, sort of going a different way. Is there a number that would let you reach this goal? Whereas if we wanted to, we could like buy a share in it. You follow me? Is there a concrete number that would make this project you want done?
Yes. I have on a website called Indiegogo.com. I have set up a fundraiser. So the number I'm looking for, because I want to travel, I would like to interview Bruce Lipton and Bernie. I'm talking to, their folks. I've already talked to Bernie directly. Bruce, I'm talking to his assistant. So I'm looking at $40,000 to have the travel money, to be able to hire some crew to help. I'm going to make this thing regardless. It's just how quickly I can do it and, what kind of resources I can get. So I want to stay balanced throughout this whole process. So, I think that'll, give me some of the resources to help. So it's indiegogo.com/dis-ease. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. In the back, Paul?
Ken, could you repeat that quote about worry and interest?
Yes. It was, worry is an interest on a debt that we don't even owe.
That's good.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan. We have one more down here, and then we're going to move on to our next topic.
This is more of a commentary. As a holistic practitioner, I do a lot of educating with the patients. And one of the things that I have found is really helpful to connect their physical and their mind and their spirit is to journal. And I teach them very specific ways to journal. And the very first thing is to count their blessings. Once they come into the office, the first thing they see is start each day with gratitude. And it really changes the whole momentum of seeing themselves in a state of disease or dis-ease and starting to see themselves as an integrated being that can actually accept health.
Thank you for sharing.